What's the recording for?
Um, so I can review this demo. Do you mind if I also share it on my YouTube?
Do you use AI? Well, I'm going to share secret stuff on here.
Are you? Okay. Then I can turn off, let me turn off the recording then.
You can record it if you
What,
want notes, but oh yeah, don't share this. I'll tell you when you can share it when I
what,
finally.
what do you want to share? You want to share your repo?
Well, yeah, I want to show my repo. Well, first I want to know what your stuff does. Um, I find it like there's a mental block in what I expect to happen. And if I expect disappointment, I don't even want to try any AI tools. So like I just stay away from AI tools if I expect like if I expect disappointment, basically. Um, I think you're going to encounter that a lot, especially with people who are like doing it professionally and not like making videos about it. The second you know how to do something more than the AI, you like stop trusting the AI to do anything. Not anything, but like not that specific thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Like, because like AI generally right now, I think it gets it right maybe like 75% of the time. It's never 95% of the time. It's not 95 or 99% consistent. It's
That's
it's like
interesting. For
75%
me,
consistent.
it's like 15%.
It's like 15% consistent. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it never gets right for you. For me, it's like 75%, 50 to 75%. And so, 25% of my day is actually just rerunning the prompt or updating my prompt or whatnot. It feels like work.
So I want to learn what you're doing because I have a feeling I'm just not using it right. Um, so this is your call. How do you want to run this call? I can definitely get into my problems, but that's going to take a while.
Okay. I have an outline of sort of where I'm at, what HTTPR is, and so forth. So I'll share my screen. I have notes on the right, and I have my HTTPR on the left. And I'm going to walk you through sort of the thing behind this.
Cool.
Share content. Oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Hold on. Ah, I need to
You have to
restart.
reload.
I have to restart. I'm going to rejoin. I'll be right back.
Stop looking at pause. No. No.
Okay, I'm back. Let's see. I'm going to
Dude,
share
I
my
just
screen.
want to learn how to use AI tools. I think there's so much demand for it, and there's like so little education. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, for sure. I sometimes I want to sidetrack and stop working on HTTPR to just send out videos and show people how to use AI for various functions. Not just for coding, but for like finance, for brainstorming.
No, no,
For,
no, no. Stay focused. Stay focused. Just do it for code.
uh,
Just do it for code.
um, Let me start out with I'm going to start with sort of the thinking behind HTTPR, why I've been building this, and I'm spending way too long to build it, but actually I'm quite happy with the results so far. There's still a lot of work to be done. What it does now, and then um, sort of how it's affected me in my coding. And I'll caveat this by, of course, my coding is not the same as maybe coding on a very, very large code base at, say, Google or at Etsy. But I think sort of some parts of my workload might still apply. And I'll give you a quick demo for how I've used it on HTTPR directly.
A lot of words on the screen.
Yeah. You don't have to read the words. I'm just going to kind of just go through this sort of structure a little bit and just talk through it. Part of the issue, or part of the thinking behind HTTPR was that actually writing prompts is a bit of work. They keep on selling it that's very easy, but actually, you write a prompt and you get a result back that's not satisfactory, and you feel like, oh, it's my fault because I don't know how to write prompts. It's something I hear from a lot of people. I don't know how to write prompts. Like, I don't know what the best things to writing prompts is. So it's actually a lot of work. It's a lot of typing. And sometimes there's actually a very easy thing that you want to do. Like, I want to translate. You have to type out, please translate this for me, or please do. It's a lot of typing. And on top of that, actually, I feel like a lot of these ticketing platforms, GitHub, Linear, whatever you guys use, in those tickets, actually all that context is already there. You have the context from the issue and you have the code base to resolve the problem. And so that ticketing platform is sort of like a prompt, basically. But tickets can also come from many other different places. And so as long as you have sort of this ticketing software, actually you should already have the PR ready. As soon as the ticket is created, you should already have the PR ready, basically. Because you already have all the context there. I'm working on the assumption that agents are going to be cheaper and cheaper every year. So even though it might feel like it costs a lot now, it's going to be 10 times cheaper very soon. These tickets, they should run these sort of background work threads in the background, and you should run multiple of them actually, without the user really knowing, and then you can get the best solutions from each of these threads. With LLMs, writing code is sort of like what writing assembly or binary code was back in the day. It's like LLMs are like a layer of additional abstraction. And then so finally, like now PRs, I think PRs should still be, like the final PR before you merge to production should still be committed by a human. And so right now, I guess the goal is sort of to speed up the time to a PR and also reduce that PR review time. What are your thoughts behind those? That sort of philosophy.
You mean this as a demo or these points as like individual points?
I mean, do you have any thoughts about anything I just said just now?
Yeah, I mean, I think most tasks in the world are some form of context and some freedom of action, hopefully getting
Yeah.
to some result,
Yeah.
right? And that freedom of action and the context were very blurry before LLMs, and hopefully LLMs can drive to some result now. So the context, the action, the result, those are all text, right? Context is text. The action right now it's text unless you have tools, and the result is some code or a tool being called, things like that. And the idea that the context is the prompt means that if the Jira tickets represent the context, then those actions can be taken. So a pull request should be generated from the Jira ticket. Is the end goal of what you want, right?
Yeah.
And to a developer, it might not even be every part of it might be useful. From a ticket to a better ticket might even be useful,
Yeah.
right? If I ask you to update some view in Django, finding the code that represents the view may be already a big lift, right? Because it might be
Yeah.
traversing a bunch of stuff, figuring out what this ticket means, and then finding out the edge cases. Be like, well, do you want me to update the view when the user is logged out? And that's like a further question. Do you want me to, what if they're a premium member? Do you also
Yeah.
want me to update this view? Like there's all these other edge cases that can pop up once I even look at the code. I'm like, if I update this, it actually updates a bunch of other unrelated things that you guys might not want. So that discovery, that's just the reading process, that would also be helpful, right? It doesn't even have to code everything, but just saying that these are things that might come up. The second you change this, it changes these three other touch points. That's already a better ticket, you can say,
Yeah.
right? So ticket to better ticket is already a good thing. I like the context that, I mean, I like the goal. The goal is the second a Jira ticket's made, a PR is made. I don't really understand the assembly part. In isolation, I know people say that in terms of like relating it to higher level stuff taking over lower level stuff. I think it requires so much context that the sentence in my head doesn't make a ton of sense. But I've also never coded in assembly, so what do I know? I've never coded in binary. But the reason this never stuck with me is because like coding in assembly and then going to Python is different because Python's still like a language and there's still like rules. Whereas if I use Claude and you use ChatGPT or whatever, and Cursor and Copilot and all these things, like there's actually no rules that govern that. It's like a completely different experience. The way I use it is completely different. Um, I wish it was more standardized, actually. But yeah, that's cool. Final approval should always be done by humans. Would still be done by humans. Yeah, I could see that because like you want things to at least be most readable. I I think a lot of like when you have PRs at big companies, people just complain because they're like, this is not going to scale. This is unreadable. Like this is like an anti-pattern. Um, and typically people don't want to do that stuff because it's like it just takes too much work. Like they don't want to go back and forth on these PRs forever. Like sometimes you're like, I don't just please merge my PR. Like we have to get this done by Friday. I'll clean it up later. So there is some idea that like if this does a lot of the toil for us, then it should be like quote unquote perfect code just coming out every time.
Yeah. This is good feedback. I really appreciate your feedback on this because I've actually never worked at a software company, so I don't know how PRs work. I've only used PRs
Um,
and for
it's
maybe just like
exactly how a group project essay would work. It's exactly that. Like imagine you have a Google Doc and I'm like, I want it like this. And you're like, no, I'd want this part to be like that. And you just go back and forth until like you get to some agreement, but you do have a deadline. And like the people who care about the deadline like want to stop like going back and forth. So it's exactly that.
Okay, cool. That's very good feedback. I really appreciate this actually.
I don't know if it's useful for your pitch, so that's why I would hesitate to even talk about any of
But
this.
it's always useful because another perspective is always useful. Right now, I'm just living in my own head. So actually, all of your feedback is very useful.
If I was doing a demo, I would show an actual Jira ticket. I'd be like, this is what a Jira ticket looks like. Imagine a
Yep.
product manager gives this to an engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You have a demo. Great.
Let's go. Let's go straight into it. Um, let's get some context. Right now, our agents they don't accept any images, but the APIs, of course, can accept images. Oftentimes, these issues they come with screenshots
Sorry,
of
what do you
what's
mean
happening.
agents APIs? Your agents don't accept
Sorry,
images?
OpenAI's API. When you create a chat completion request, actually you can
Hmm.
also attach images, just like in ChatGPT or in Claude or whatever. You can also upload images. So the API also supports that.
Okay.
Right now, my issue to PR does not support that. And it's a
Okay.
problem because oftentimes these tickets they'll include screenshots, and that
Okay. Sure.
screenshot information is actually quite useful. It provides a lot of good context. Sometimes it's just a screenshot and no other text. Please fix this. Um, so usually the way these screenshots are embedded is as a markdown with a image. And so what I want to do right now is I want to build just a simple function that extracts that image URL from a markdown text. Okay.
You
So I
mean
just
in this
created
current app, the like the one you're showing me right
my
now?
own HTTPR, yeah, in my own app
Okay.
HTTPR. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So simple title, given a markdown string from GitHub resource, issue or pull request or comment, we should be able to extract any URLs that are images and then render that image as images in Markdown. Sorry, any URLs that are images and that render as images in Markdown. Okay, so it's usually the Markdown style of images. Um,
I didn't know
so take
Markdown had images.
yeah, so you can there's certain syntax in Markdown with some square brackets and parentheses where you can just put the image URL in there and then some accompanying text. What HTTPR does is, as soon as you have you create this issue, it will automatically start thinking about that issue, look through your code base, and it'll generate a plan. and it'll automatically post that plan as a follow-up comment. Okay, it's going to tell you what it's explored, what it's found so far in your code base, and it's come up with a solution. So it says, first, we're going to add a markdown.ts utils file. That says extract image URLs. Good. And it's going to give some sample markdown syntax and give an example regex and so forth. Okay. So these are all just, it's like a very detailed plan. I read through this plan and I go, actually, this makes a lot of sense. Beautiful. I'm okay with this plan. And then on the app directly maps to the URL structure for GitHub. So you can just put httpr.dev in front of anything and go straight to the same issue on httpr. And you can launch a PR from that. I've already done that, and there's already an attached pull request here. And these are the files that it changed. I've looked through it, and what it has also done is it created some test files for me. I've looked through it, and this looks okay to me. I can't read this regex, but I assume it works. But I can see the function, I can see the parameters, this is correct. I can see the output is going to be an array of string. That's exactly what I want. And I can read through the test that is created. So it should extract a single image URL. Yes, that's correct. So with this PR, actually, I'm pretty confident I don't need to open it, especially if I can run these tests and these tests all pass.
Okay. Can you
For
run it?
my, yeah, so actually I've run it and it has run through those tests.
Nice.
And I can see where it failed. And it failed on one of these tricky things here. So it's showing a tricky edge markdown case. Okay, so they have like an actual parentheses in the link itself. And it failed that part. I mean, but this is all done in 30 seconds. So that's where it's at right now. Next step is obviously to pass back these failed tests back to the LLM so it can fix it. So that's in the
I
pipeline
don't
right
even
now.
know what the code should be. I mean, what should even happen there?
It should return. So this test is saying that it's expecting this, but it got this.
Oh, I see.
It's expecting this, but it got this. So it failed.
Interesting. Okay, so it wrote the code, but it couldn't write the test.
No, it wrote the code and it wrote the test, and the test failed.
Wait,
Because
what a
the
breaking
code
test.
markdown, or sorry, the regex probably doesn't capture this strange tricky edge. But it passed all the other tests.
Yeah, but like a
Yeah.
human would have chosen like an easier thing maybe, or a different
Yeah.
markdown.
So, I mean, this specific problem is trivial, but what's great about this is that actually, you know, I feel pretty confident, and especially if I can feed back that failed test back to the LLM, and the LLM says, okay, I see, I can update the regex. Let me make one more commit, and let's run the test again. That actually, I don't even have to open the code editor. I feel pretty confident here to merge this, because right now it's just a function, and it passed a list of tests that the AI also wrote for me, and I can read those tests.
And did you say something about staging environments? Like, can you merge this to
Yeah.
staging?
So right now I have this connected to Vercel. Vercel, the staging environment doesn't work for me because I cannot get my authentication provider to work with their dynamic URLs. So when I click this, I can't really test it on Vercel because I can't log in. But if I set up
Wait,
a
what?
staging environment on my own server, which is on my pipeline as well, then actually I should be able to have a link pop up right here. I can click into it and I can just play with it, just make sure that works. Yeah, actually that's perfect. And
So can we see it? Like, does it? How do we see if it works?
let's see if we can find another one that worked. So I have quite a few pull requests that are AI generated, and I've directly merged it. Yeah, so this one, they changed it, it worked. And I just pushed it to production, and on production site, I could see that it worked. Just because I don't have staging set up. But if you have staging set up, then you can also do it on your staging server.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something working. If it was, I guess I am looking at something. I guess your thing does work, right? Like the actual website works.
Yeah.
That,
So,
yeah. I just want to see something that the thing built.
okay. So maybe we'll do something on the front page so that we can see it quickly.
Or you can show me something that it built before. I just want to see something that it built, you trusted, and then you merged it.
Okay, there was something else on here that didn't work. So for example, when I ran a workflow, when I ran a fixed issue create PR workflow, and it showed up on this list, it would always show up as completed immediately.
Okay.
But actually, it should be showing running.
Sure.
So I merged a PR and then it fixed it. So now if I were to fix this one, it's going to show up as running.
And what was the plan for that one? Like, did it look at, did you know what was wrong and then you told it what was wrong, or like what happened?
I told it though my expected behavior and what's not happening right now. So I
And
told
it
it that
found the issue?
it found the issue. Yeah. So let me see if I can find that issue.
I feel like in your demo, you should just start with an empty repo and just build something.
Um, let's make an issue now. I mean, I have a lot of issues we can go through, and we can do it
Nice.
now.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah, I want to see it work.
And I'm going to highlight something where it's failing right now. So here's actually an issue that I want to, or like a feature that I want to implement. So these PRs that we create, I already added an AI generated tag to them automatically so that I can count them later. Actually, I want to put this counter on my front page.
Okay.
So my front page should track the number of AI generated PRs that we've merged to production as a form of testimonial.
Sure.
Created this, it created its plan automatically. And we're going to see that it realizes that it needs to actually do quite a few things. First, it needs to fetch all the PRs that have been tagged with AI generated, that have been merged.
Okay.
Okay. We need to create an additional API route probably, and we also need to update the front page.
Okay.
Okay. So these three things that needs to happen. I've already created a PR from this plan, but the PR fails a little bit because it's actually too much. So actually, part of my pipeline is that we're going to be splitting this issue into multiple smaller issues. Basically, these three smaller issues, so that I can just do them each one by one, and we can build tests for each of them. And once those three are merged, then we can fully implement this parent issue in a sense.
Sorry. You're going to ask it to do those three independently, or you're gonna make it know to split those up?
I'm going to make it know that these should be individual issues itself. So kind of what you're talking about, how there's one issue, and once you explore it, you realize actually it's a much bigger problem. And so actually you should break it down to smaller things. So that's in the pipeline.
But how do you know beforehand that something's bigger? Like, how do you know to tell it to
That's something I need to
expect?
explore a little bit. You know, I don't know in your work if there was like a sweet spot for a PR, because I imagine probably like very big PRs are not ideal.
I mean, they're not ideal, but they happen all the time. Yeah, they are not ideal. And in Git, it actually is worse. Like at Facebook, there's actually a better system. Like they
Hmm.
use a Mercurial or something, and you can stack PRs more visually, so people can look at smaller commits in an easier way and how they lead to like the full commit.
Hmm.
Whereas in GitHub, people usually just drop really big PRs, I think.
So this PR, yes, this PR.
But I guess sometimes like logically, this is why they split up teams, right? So like if you have a backend team and a front end team, then sometimes it will split in that like these are all this is all backend code, this is all front end code. And at least there's some separation. Like the backend code is tested separately than the front end.
Yeah, I'm thinking about splitting it sort of like, if you're creating a new function, then that should just be one PR. If you need to make multiple edits across different files, then it should solve one sort of single purpose and should be testable. Basically, sort of every PR should be testable in a sense, or you should be able to build some automated tests for them. That way, the reviewer can just look at those automated tests and say, okay, actually, yeah, this works.
Okay, but if you actually think about the code here, is what's wrong? What actually goes wrong?
So for this PR here, and I think it's because the issue was too big. It became bigger than I thought.
Hmm.
So one, it created an additional API route, which I think is right, but I don't like the naming of this.
Okay, that's fine. But you can tell
So
it to name it something else, right?
name it something else exactly. So it's going to count AI merged PRs and return that response. That's actually good. So the structure here generally is good. Just the naming is probably a little bit off.
Okay.
The repo name shouldn't be coming from process.env. It should be coming from something I don't know, or it should be just be all repos anonymized somehow.
Probably, yeah.
This is something I haven't thought about, and it's something actually we need to explore a little bit more in an issue.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
probably just a counter somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, where are you gonna store this? Or where does this store it?
Um, yeah. Maybe I need to actually be pulling it from my database instead of pulling from GitHub.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So actually, I didn't think about that. So maybe that issue actually should have explored that a little bit more. This is generally correct. It creates another component on the homepage, but it should have found that my homepage is breaking down each section into different components. So actually, I should have embedded this into one of the sections or create a new section instead.
Hmm.
And then it goes into one of my helper functions, pull requests. So this is correct. Count AI merged PRs. So this one is correct. And additionally, it should have probably built some unit tests, so I can be sure that this outputs the right stuff.
Okay. So everything you said, it seems like it actually works. Maybe. It just doesn't do it the way you want it to.
Yeah.
So
So from
this
here, the
this
way
goes through every repo.
so I review the PR. I go, okay, actually, it's a little bit too much, and so maybe I should split it to maybe front end, back end, sort of like what you said. So back end is actually what I'll do here is create a sub issue, and I'll say, listen, I just want to solve the back end part first, and we raised a couple different points here. Maybe I should be saving this to the database. So maybe think about how to save PRs that are committed to main branch with AI generated tag.
We're looking at a PR, right? Those were PR comments, or was that the plan?
This was a PR here.
Okay. So if we leave a comment, does that update anything? Or
That's
could it?
so if we put a comment, what I want to do is feed that back to an agent, of course, and then the agent will create another commit to fix it. Yeah, so I should be able to read this and then go back to the code base, make the edits, and then fix it.
Okay. Can't do it, but do you want to do it in the future?
Yeah.
All right, well, we can test this on my code. I mean, I don't know if this is going to do what I want to do, but at least right now. But it'd be interesting to use this on a new project.
I want to test it on. I haven't tried it on Python, so I'm not sure how it works on Python yet.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what I'm doing.
Sure.
I paid a developer to do a bunch of stuff for me. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. I'm gonna turn off the recording as well.
I think I'm gonna have to leave and come back.
Okay.